Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. We have a lot more Titan talk to get through today, and we have one of our favorite guests coming back on the show. So let's not waste 1 second. Sammy, start us up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Do the Titans have a miracle left in them in what has been a magical season to this point? Going to be fielded by Lorenzo Neal at the 25. Pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's
40,
got something.
50.
He's got it.
40.
He's got it.
20. 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown Titans. There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast. Sick! It's going to be sick.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans, joined as always by my counterpart, Jarett. Jarett, how are you today?
What's going on, buddy? We gotta change our intro once again now. Mike Heat's not going to be making the calls no more. We got Taylor Zeitler now. Zizar. So,
well, he's gonna have to put out some content that's worthy of an intro, and I hope he does. He seems like a super good sports personality, so we'll have to see. We'll get into that a little bit, but don't want to waste any time bringing in our guest for today, one of our favorite, and we really appreciate any time she takes out of her busy schedule to talk Titan football with us. So let's please bring in the one and only Kayla Anderson. Kayla, how are you doing today, dear? How are you?
What's going on? It's so funny because, like, what people don't understand about my schedule is I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning. And doing the radio, we stream it now. If anybody, does the YouTube route and watches us on there. So, like, I have to kind of get ready, which sucks because I kind of, like, in TV my whole life, it was such a thing. Like, you had to put on the full makeup and you had to do the hair. And I'm really not that kind of gal. I'm kind of just more of a more natural throw my hair up in a bun. So when they said we started streaming, I was like, man, are you serious? And so I remember, like, the first maybe 3 months, I would like do my hair and I would put on a little makeup. And then I was like, screw it. What am I doing? So I still wake up at 4 a.m. to get everything, like, my body going, but like I literally look like this every day. So hopefully I don't ruin your viewership with me.
No.
All good.
Kayla, I guarantee you on your worst day, you still look better than any of the three of us on our best. So you got nothing to worry about. But as always, we appreciate you. Of course, absolutely, Jarett. I'm always the first one to chew Kayla's ear off with a question, so you can do the honors today, my friend.
10-4. I know Cam Ward is your guy, and obviously I've loved him since September. And I was telling people when we were in Nashville, where we did the podcast at DraftKings Sportsbook with TD, I was telling everybody we were watching one of the Cam Ward games. I'm like, this is the guy we have to draft if we have the opportunity to draft him come April. And here we are at 1. Kayla, since we didn't have you on the show, Cam Ward's pro day was last week or a week and a half ago. I don't even remember the weeks right now. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Oh, Shedeur was last week. 2 weeks ago. What did you think of that showcase with the Brian Callahan, dabbing him up, laughing, pushing him, saying, you let that one go. And, he gave a little curse and everything. But what did you think about that interaction versus the Shedeur Sanders and, canceling the meetings? Was that then and there their guy all along, especially now bringing Amy to the private workout too? I mean, that shows a lot, in my opinion.
It does. And look, guys, I truly do feel like Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, and Brian Callahan, they preached. Sorry, that was my dog jumping up on the bed. They preached that they were going to go through the whole process. And I truly believe, guys, coming into the draft, they didn't know what they were doing. And I even had a conversation. I'm not going to say who it was, but I had a conversation with somebody higher up. And I remember having the conversation about the quarterback. And I said, oh, yeah, there's a couple quarterbacks in this draft. You could always go with the quarterback. And I remember that person saying to me, or we have to really know how to sell that quarterback that we like them. And that kind of stuck with me. And so I've always been hesitant throughout the process that they really fell in love with Cam Ward, because that stuck in the back of my head. Like, well, maybe they're still just selling this as they fell in love with the quarterback. But as the process went along, I think it was more and more obvious what they were doing. And I think you could say the first big kind of flag that pointed you in the direction of Cam Ward was not securing up a starting quarterback in free agency. I think once we saw the moves that were made at the quarterback position, and probably knowing Will Levis, that was the only guy in the room at the time, was also not probably your starter this upcoming season, that's when the light went on for me. And it was like, okay, I think they're more serious about taking Cam Ward than we think. And I'll put Shedeur still in that mix because he still, had his pro day. And at the time we thought he was going to have the private workouts. But when they went down to Cam Ward's pro day, they brought the whole entire staff, I feel like. I mean, everybody was down there. It felt like they already were really comfortable with Cam. Cam was already comfortable with them, going to the sideline saying, if that didn't convince you, I don't know what does. So I think that you already saw them being comfortable with each other, and that was a good sign because they had that top 30 visit. And by everything that I've always been told of those top 30 visits, they can last up to 2 days. And the guys spend a lot of time, with all the coaches in the film room, obviously, with their position coaches as well. So I think that's where they maybe got pretty comfortable with Cam. And then going down to the pro day, it was kind of just solidifying a lot of things, talking with his coaches, talking with players that played with Cam Ward. And then the note about Amy, that's what sold it for me. Because when I heard Amy went down to the private workout, I was like, it's over. And I knew Shedeur still had his pro day to come. But at the time, we had heard that Mike Borgonzi and Brian Callahan weren't going to that. And so I was like, well, if you're going to be fair, why don't you do everything the same that you did with getting Cam Ward than you are with Shedeur Sanders? And then Mike Borgonzi did go to that pro day. However, I just felt it was like more business-like. I don't feel like you saw the interaction with Shedeur like that you did with Cam.
Oh, yeah.
And then they canceled the private workout. And I think they just came to the realization with each other, like, let's not play this game anymore. We both know that this isn't going to happen. So let's just kind of go our separate ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like a nice little breakup. Like, we're not going to keep courting you when we know who our quarterback is going to be.
This guy over here. I don't know if he's frozen or not, but Kayla, I'm just going to ask you a question. A lot of talk going into the second round, and even into the third round. We don't have the third round, right? They've been bringing a lot of wide receivers. They've been bringing a lot of wide receivers in. For the 30 visits. Kyle Williams is one of them. Njigba, Burton, and Dante Thornton, right? 6'5", 4.3 speed, enormous speed down the field for a threat for Cam Ward. For our wide receiver rooms, our wide receiver rooms is not that great at all right now. So do you think they go after a guy in the second round, or do you think they wait for like a late guy like Kyle Williams, who played with Cam Ward, who was affiliated with Nick Holes at UNLV? So there's ties there, but like at a premium position right then and there, if Njigba's there, I say at 35, you don't move back. I think you draft that guy who's a playmaker who could be a real good tandem with Calvin Ridley, because you need weapons around your young quarterback.
Do you mean Emeka Mbuka?
Did I? Yeah, Mbuka. What did I say?
Because they're very similar. No, you're totally fine.
Their play style, because that's their
and they both
player
played
comp.
Ohio
Yes,
State.
yes.
Look, I knew exactly who you were talking about because I've actually been super heavy on the Emeka Mbuka train. He is actually similar to a Jackson Smith-Njigba. He might be a little bit bigger than Jackson Smith-Njigba. He can play outside and in. What I love about him, still having a lot of my connections up in Columbus when I covered Ohio State up there for 3 seasons, I always tap in up there and find out what's going on. So of course I asked about Emeka Mbuka, and the thing with him is he gets rave reviews up there. First of all, you've got to always feel really confident, and their history is deep, but in the past several years, especially with Brian Hartline as the wide receivers coach, he gets these wide receivers pro ready. I mean, there is no doubt about it. There's a factory up there, and there has been for a while, but I think it's like up to another level with Brian Hartline there, because he is just getting these guys starter day one ready.
And
that is what Emeka Egbuka is. He would be a safety blanket for Cam Ward, no doubt about it. He's a crisp route runner. Like I said, he can play inside and out. I just think that everything he does is solid. And he is, in his role, always been more of a complimentary two. But that's okay. Like right now, you have Calvin Ridley. If you brought Emeka Egbuka up and really had those two grow together, I think that would be a really special, like, pairing, like that we see with a lot of these wide receivers and young quarterbacks in the league. And I just think he's solid. Like he's going to be a consummate pro. He's going to be a leader eventually in that locker room. I think you need as many leaders as you can on offense. They've been lacking that. So that's who I would take if he did fall to that spot. However, I know there's a lot of interest in Kyle Williams. I'm a huge, huge advocate. I've been talking about this guy for the last year because, again, I've watched him at Washington State before anybody gets to watch him. The problem with that is, like, I think his draft stock is raising so much that you couldn't get him, I think, where you used to possibly be able to get him in, like, the 4th round high. Now I think he's going to go at least in the 3rd round at the latest. Yeah. And unfortunately, you just mentioned it, the Titans don't have that freaking 3rd round pick. And it just drives me crazy over the past couple of years not having it. It is such a key spot to pick in. And there's so much talent still in that spot. And just unfortunately, they don't have it unless there was some sort of situation where they traded down in that 2nd and maybe picked up a 3rd and another 4th. So there could be an opportunity to kind of pick up some other, draft picks if they traded even back in the 2nd round. But again, you probably think they're going to stick and pick there. I would pick a guy like Emeka Egbuka. But if they could get Kyle Williams in the 4th for some reason, oh, hell yeah, you go and get him too. I don't care. Just stock up that wide receiver room because Cam Ward is going to need a lot of help. And at this point, it is just such a slim wide receiver room other than Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. And I apologize for the technical difficulty there I had earlier, but that leads me into my question, Kayla, which is no matter what they decide to do in the 2nd round, which you would assume would be wide receiver, they still need more on top of that. I mean, up until this point, you're looking at Van Jefferson as the only addition to one of the toughest skill positions they have on the charts right now as far as depth is concerned. I would hope to assume it's safe to say that they're going to possibly still look for another guy to bring in that's a current veteran before,
Mark Cooper's sitting there.
Is that what you would assume as well, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have to. I mean, unfortunately, and you've seen what they've been doing with some of the visits with offensive linemen too. Like they're still not done stocking that room because, depth at every position for the Titans is really important. Like we all felt, oh yeah, the signings they had in free agency last year, like they were good. And then like people got hurt and you're going, well, who the hell is next? Right. And you have to be able to have depth at all these positions, but yeah, especially at wide receiver, because you're not really starting with much. And like, I don't even really want, I like Treylon Burks the person, and I feel bad sometimes because I rag on him so hard. But like, I don't even want to talk about him as being an option, you guys. Like, he has not been able to stay healthy, and then not been able to build on anything because of that.
Produce.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm sorry. Like, there's only so much saving you can have in you, and I just don't think the Titans need to be in saving mode anymore when it comes to Treylon Burks. There's guys that I think have potential to step up into bigger roles, but again, not a 2 or 3 even that I see right now on the roster, except for Calvin Ridley being that one. So yeah, I could see them maybe going and getting another veteran that's still out there on the market. It would probably even be a guy that maybe had, some leadership qualities as well. I love Calvin Ridley, but I don't really look at him as being like the biggest like mentor guy. Like he's super cool with the guys and the guys like him, but he's just a different personality when it comes to like that leadership role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kayla, like you said, the offensive line definitely has to get improvement. I know there was a couple 30 visits today. George Fant is another one that came in to today. I think he was visiting. I mean, just the depth in that position alone, we built up, right? Like you said, like you were calling up guys. We were getting guys from ShopRite last year and the years prior to that to come in. You know, they were bagging groceries, and all of a sudden they're on the field, playing swing tackle for us. We need to build that culture back, just like the Lewan era and the Roger Stafford era, because if you're going to draft a guy like Cam Ward and he's going to be a mobile quarterback and extend plays, you got to be able to protect him and surround him with weapons. Like I'm a big guy on Amari Cooper. As veteran wide receiver, I don't see like a Tyler Lockett coming here because he's more of a slot. I think we can get a slot in the draft, whether it be Restrepo or Kyle Williams or, like I said, Burton or any of these guys coming out. But to me, I mean, I've had a couple mocks out here, and do you think we have enough firepower if we do draft a wide receiver, right, at 2 in the second round? Do you think we have enough firepower, because we have 2 4s, 2 5s, and 2 6 now, right?
Yep.
With one of those, do you think we have enough firepower to trade 2 of those picks to come back into the third? Or mortgage another pick next year with that to come back into the third if they love somebody?
That's a great question, because, and I talk about this on Ramon, Kayla, and Will a lot too, like, it's so hard for us to know anything about what this new management group together is going to do and what their like real philosophy is in the moment. Like, they can tell us everything leading up to the draft, but like, until you're in the war room and you're seeing them make these picks and having maybe the mind behind why they made these picks, like, we're not going to really ever know like what their philosophy is. Like, we kind of started to get that with John Robinson, like once John had been here for so long. And unfortunately, John got in the business of gambling on injuries and kind of getting too high on himself of like, hey, we struck gold with Jeffrey Simmons, and then he tried to do it too much, and that became kind of his identity as a GM drafting, right? And you never want that. And I think that's what's going to be really good. I really trust Mike Borgonzi. I think he is a super smart, savvy general manager who learned from the best in Kansas City, and he's not screwing around here. Like, he's not here to get fired in 2 years. Like, I think he's got the right business mentality and the way to draft, and the smarts about how to position yourself or when to trade. And I think that's what's also going to be fascinating about this draft is like, do they do something like that? And if they do have a guy that they truly feel like, okay, could we give away these, 4th round picks and move up to the 3rd because we think we can go get this guy that we really want and think he can contribute? Yeah, I think that they would do it. The only thing that holds me back, guys, is they also said how much they want to have so many picks every year. Like, they want to have a certain amount of picks in the next several years. And so that always makes you question them doing anything in terms of losing picks. But you never know what's going to happen when you don't have a 3rd rounder to begin with, because it's such a valuable area of the draft.
When you're saying I agree with you, because I heard Borgonzi say the same thing. They want to keep and value their picks and everything. People may come at me for this comment, but I don't care, because I'm out on the 2 players. And you mentioned one of them being Treylon Burks, with 3 quarterbacks now on the roster, right? And we're almost going to draft basically 99.9%, right? Like we talked about, we're going to draft Cam Ward. What are we doing with 4 quarterbacks? Do we ship Will Levis out for a draft pick, package him with Treylon Burks, go get a 7th and a bag of chips and a 6th for more draft picks so we can move up into that draft for capital? I mean, give these guys another shot somewhere else. They're clearly not making it in Tennessee.
So there's 2 things that could happen with this particular situation. The one thing I know, though, or at least I think I know, is Will Levis will not be a Titan when the season starts. There's no way that I think you're going to have a guy like Will Levis, who was brought here to be like the quarterback of the future. It didn't work out. He's still really young. He's still looking for another chance somewhere. He said at the end of the season, he wants to be a starter, prove he can be, whether it's here or somewhere else. I don't see that being a good thing with a brand new rookie quarterback who is brought in and Will Levis in the same. I don't see that working, right? Like I don't think that would be a good mix with, him, Will Levis still here, and then, another one of these Brandon Allens, that's in there. That's fine, like to have the veteran, but I just think those two young quarterbacks that are super competitive, like Will Levis, no matter what you guys say out there, or what he says, he's going to have something on his shoulder about the situation. I don't care what anyone says. He's freaking human. So what I think will happen is there could be a trade come draft day. And, the best I think you get at this point is 7th round pick right now. However, they could keep him in camp. And just like they did with Malik Willis, they could put him out there, let Will Levis compete, let Will Levis raise his stock a little. And then when you get a couple, games into the preseason, you got a team that maybe sees him and sees him playing well. And they're like, oh yeah, we'd like him. And maybe you could get that up to a 6 next year, and start stockpiling for next year, because you always want to get the most value out of the guys you have. And of course he's here for at least one more year. So why not get the most out of him? And that would probably be letting him compete in training camp.
Yeah, I think he's going to get traded on draft night. I think that would make sense, even if it's for like a 6th round or 7th rounder. I think someone's going to want to take a flyer on him. I think there's enough highlights, as much as there is lowlights. There's enough highlights that someone will say, "Hey, you know what? We don't got anything to lose. Why don't we give the kid a hat to throw in the ring?"
Well, who just signed
that? So,
who is a 40? There's so many of these. I'm sorry, guys. There's so many of these quarterbacks that get 3rd, 4th chances. They've never played. Who was the 49ers they drafted? He went to the Cowboys. I'm like,
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. Like, if Trey Lance is still finding a home and they're paying him money, give me a break. He hasn't even played football.
Yeah.
At least Will Levis has played football.
Desmond Ritter.
He has potential in another spot.
Brock Osweiler was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Brock
There's a million
Osweiler,
of those guys. Absolutely.
Should have went and played basketball.
Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion now as a backup, and they couldn't punt him out of Pittsburgh fast enough.
And he's the starter
I think. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. That's crazy. Anyway, before we let you go, yeah, you're right. Before we let you go, Kayla, we did apparently get a new radio guy, Taylor Zarzor, a new play-by-play guy. Like anything cool about him you found out since we found out he's going to be replacing Mr. Keith?
Yeah, I mean, that is first and foremost. It's always such a hard thing when you have a legend that you have to fill his shoes. So I always sympathize is not the word, but I always try to back those people, because I know how tough that would be, stepping into a role like that was held by a legend for so many years, and that so many people that are Tennessee Titans fans, just absolutely love, and Mike Keith. And so I really am excited to support him as a broadcaster and the new play-by-play guy. And I can't wait to meet him. What I love about Taylor is he was actually on one of the radio stations years ago here in Nashville. So he had a connection in Nashville where he was familiar with the city. It's not like the city is something he's never known before. He's never been here. He's familiar with it. And, he knows the Titans. And I think he shared a story where the one season he covered them, he saved all of the press passes for every game that he went to, which I thought was a really fun little fact that he shared on one of our shows, 3HL, yesterday. So I think what you're going to get out of him, guys, he's got a really cool background. He's done a lot of college sports on the radio side and the broadcasting side at the highest level, doing play-by-play for football, for ESPN. He also dabbles a little in golf, so he does.
You'll hear him this week at the Masters.
Yeah, so I'm excited to hear him this week at the Masters. I'm like a big golf fan, especially the big tournaments that come around every year. So he's got a really great background, and he's a pro, right? And then I just think he's got the good voice, and he's got the little quirkiness to him. I think fans are going to really like him. I know it's going to take a while for fans to warm up to him because that's only natural when you replace somebody like Mike Keith. But I just encourage fans, give him a chance. He's going to do a great job for you guys. Him and his family are moving here, so he's going to embed himself in the community. So it's not like he's going to be just flying in every weekend to do these games. So
yeah,
it's a great hire. I really do. The Titans did a really good job in the vetting process. Now we just have to see who is going to replace Ramon Foster, as he's going to do color analyst work with Mike Keith now for the Vols. So they need a sideline person.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
If anyone, I'm telling you,
we'll advocate for you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
just saying,
Yes.
That's an easy advocation from us there. But Kayla, as always, we really, really appreciate you taking the time. You're one of our favorite guests to have, and we love being able to grab you for a little bit and talking Titan football. And again, each time we talk to you, it seems like things might be getting a little bit better each time. And if we have a new quarterback in a couple weeks, it's going to be really fun to start diving into what that could bring in the future too. So thank you again, Kayla. And as always, guys, if you didn't know already, which you should be living under a rock. If you didn't, weekdays from 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone, you'll find Kayla. And she does great work, as you all know. We're very happy to have her. Kayla, thanks so much, as always.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, Kayla.
See ya.
You got it. Kayla Anderson, folks, as always, great. One of our favorite guests to have on. She's a blast. So, this is it. I mean, we're shortly above 2 weeks away. And
it looks all about signed, sealed, and delivered, arriving 4/25.
I mean, you just can't cancel the private and then try to make people think. I mean, it would be embarrassing for them to do this, to not take them. You have to assume they have a couple brain cells working still, and I think they do. So it's going to be awesome, man, to see. I would assume he's going to be there, and to hold that jersey up as the number one pick, and have our team in the spotlight. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be a surreal moment. And, hopefully it's one we remember, because a lot of things had to happen, Jarrett. Again, it's crazy to think if Joe Milton didn't have a performance that basically put him in Dallas, by the way, this isn't happening.
Or the Giants shithousing the Colts.
Yeah, no, because it's just not happening. If New England got the first pick, they're trading it, obviously, for the highest ransom. And if it was, maybe it would have been us, but then we're giving away more. So a lot of stars had to align. Will Levis had to be abysmal, which he figured a way out to be enough to where we totally let him go. And it's time. It's psych ward time. That's it. There's a million freaking names people are saying now that are getting me excited. And hopefully everything comes to fruition. But it's game time. So I know you're ready. I'm ready. Let's rock and roll. And that's it, guys. So anything you want to add, Jay, before we wrap up today?
Nothing, man. There's a lot of comparisons been going around the internet this week. There was a couple videos going around of this guy being compared to Steve McNair. I don't want to get down that road just yet, because we did have another comparison with another quarterback who's not on the roster about Steve McNair, but we're just going to compare Cam Ward to Cam Ward until Cam Ward does special things in Nashville right now. Exactly.
And I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. I've said this on Twitter before. I'll say it again. And people are going to think I'm just trying to be, what's the word I'm looking for? If I'm trying to say something
pessimistic?
No. Trying to be like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I'm trying to stir the pot or whatever. We need better than McNair. We do. We need. It's good. It's a good comparison. He's our best quarterback, or second best quarterback of all time, behind Warren Moon. But if you want to win in 2025, a Super Bowl, you need a little bit more than what Steve McNair was. And that's not a knock against him. He's still one of my all-time favorite players. But let's hope he's better than Steve McNair. And then we'll be all very happy. So that's going to wrap it up for us all today. As always, we appreciate all you joining in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and comment and all that fun stuff as always. And check out our socials to keep up to date with what we're doing for y'all. So it's going to do it for us. As always, tighten up. Sammy, send us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.